Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wild. Today we are talking about, on top of all that you have to tip, Uber Eats customer calls out app service charges and increased meal prices. So among all of the complaints about all the gig apps, one of the most commonly talked about is tipping on the apps. And of course, we in the gig economy stand by the concept of no tip, no trip for obvious reasons. But looks like the no tip, no trip debate is going on again. So with that said, I want to go over what is being said in this article, how it actually is on Doordash, UberEats, Grubhub, all of the gig apps for gig workers and customers and everything in between. So with that said, let's get started. When food delivery apps first launched, the promise was simple: pay a small fee and soon food from the restaurant of your choice will arrive hot and ready to eat. We all know how that turned out. A lot of these companies were working on borrowed money and were paying no fee at all. And then the small fee came in and then people were saying, oh, these fees are huge. No, they're just a lot of small fees that add up to be huge. And now here we are today about people complaining about a luxury service. I get what they're saying, but still, it's a luxury service for a reason. However, these food delivery apps have proliferated once this simple process has become more complicated and more expensive. Again, a luxury service is going to be expensive, especially over time. Now, a user on TikTok has hit their breaking point with food delivery service, calling out Uber Eats for its long delivery times and high and often nonsensical fees. Long delivery times? I've actually never received an order on Uber Eats that took less time than Doordash, so I don't think that's really the problem here. In her video, TikTok user Debodali lays out the reasons why she's frustrated with Uber Eats. I'll leave her TikTok as well as her profile in the description so you can develop your own opinions on the subject. You know who needs to calm down with their effing armed robbery? She asks Uber Eats. In the video, she details many reasons why food delivery services are not as good for the consumer as one might hope. You mean a service based on convenience is not cheap and readily available for everybody? Oh my God. It's like it's not supposed to be a luxury service or something. How dare they try to charge people for a luxury service? Oh. First, as Debodali explains, each order has a service fee in addition to increased menu prices. Then there's also a delivery fee, where sometimes allegedly supplemented with an additional fee for high gas prices. Yeah, it was 45 cents extra because gas charges were through the goddamn roof. And that didn't even last very long. And increased menu prices is more on the merchant than it is the company, even though it's justifiable. And yeah, there's a delivery fee, where if you're using Uber One, they basically knock off the majority of those fees entirely. I don't know about you guys, but I've always been under the impression that gasoline was included in the delivery fee, she notes. No, those charges do not get passed on to us. And I think that's a very common misconception, is with the large number of delivery fees that the company charges the customer, those don't go our way at all. Hell, the base pay half the time is $2.50, $3, $4, maybe. And the majority of the time it is on the lowest possible option depending on where you are. She then calls out Uber Eats priority service, which allows customers to pay an extra fee to have their meal delivered faster. Debodali says this only impacts the restaurant, not the driver. However, there is some disagreement on how the priority system actually works. I don't want to say this is 100% the case because I'm pretty sure this is the case, but I'm not 100% sure. Priority service is making sure that your order doesn't get stacked on with another person. So if your order is stacked with another order, your order might take a little longer to get to you. So this priority service makes sure it doesn't get stacked with everybody else. It's misleading, it's not okay, but it is what it is. An hour and a half after ordering, you get your cold, soggy sandwich that you paid $37.45 for, she concludes, and I forgot about the tip. On top of all that, you have to tip. No crap, Sherlock, you do have to tip your driver. Although I will say, $37.45, what sandwich did you order that ended up adding onto that? Did you not pay for the Uber One so that way you don't get all those fees hit on you? Or does that actually include the tip and you just want to mislead people into believing it isn't? Thought so. In the comment section, users agreed with Debodali's complaints, with many sharing their own delivery stories. Canada, Uber Eats charges an additional $2 to $4 per order, so a $13 poutine morphs into $34 with all of the fees plus tip, one user claimed. Okay, that's including tip. So yeah, it's going to be more expensive to have something delivered. That should be expected. Living in a basement apartment has been the death of me, another user shared. They delivered to the whole wrong street the other day. Like how? Seems like a GPS problem. Uber Eats is actually notorious for having GPS problems because they do a lot of their work in-app. And while I don't necessarily justify them doing so and having those issues, it doesn't mean that they don't happen. They be having 50% off offers, but with all the fees, you end up saving like $2.57 off the regular price, a third exclaimed. That's actually a fair point too, because if they have these 40, 50, 60% off offers, and they're not even putting that onto the charge, they're putting that onto the subtotal, it's gonna add up to be a pretty hefty price anyway. So there is actually a good point to be made on that subject. These issues seem to have caused many to stop using the company altogether. As one user phrased it, this is the reason I don't order from Uber Eats anymore. Actually, a lot of us don't even blame you for that. A lot of the times, we understand these companies are expensive to use. We wouldn't use them ourselves. We've actually all made that point. We know that they're expensive. We know that it costs a lot to have these services done. And honestly, if you don't use them, we understand. Get yourself into a better financial position, and then if you still don't want to use them, we get it. They're expensive to use, and these companies need to be less malicious about it. This is my opinion. It's worth what you pay for it. None of you pay me. There you go. Honestly, this was probably one of the most tame conversations about no tip, no trip I've ever seen. Like, nobody here even called out the fact that they didn't want to tip or anything like that. They just called out how all those costs end up accumulating, which is a fair point. This is mostly on the company, not the community as a whole. And yes, the company should be paying us better so the cost doesn't fall so much on the customer. Are they ever gonna do that? Probably not. They're not even profiting as a company yet anyway, but it is what it is. I think the 50% off offers are a little misleading because the 50% off is on the subtotal, but with all of the charges that Uber Eats has, if you don't have Uber One, it's really not gonna amount to anything worth it anyway. Either way, this was actually a really tame conversation. I think there's also the point that this is a luxury service. If you can't afford to use the luxury service, you shouldn't be using it. Debodali, I hope that you either find a way to make it less costly onto yourself or just choose not to use the company either way. I think all of us in the gig economy understand. Do what's best for your financial situation now so later you can have these services and not feel concern about using them due to their price. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!